Picture this. A small village nestled in the rolling hills, where life moves at a gentle pace. In this quaint community, there lived an elderly woman named Martha. Her wrinkled face told stories of a life well lived, and her eyes sparkled with a wisdom that only comes from years of experience. Martha was known throughout the village for her unwavering smile and infectious laughter. No matter what life threw her way, she always seemed to find a reason to be happy. People would often wonder, how does she do it? How can she be so content in every situation? One day, a young man named Tom, burdened by the weight of his own troubles, decided to seek out Martha's secret. He found her tending to her small garden, humming a cheerful tune as she worked. "Excuse me, Martha?" Tom said hesitantly. "I hope I'm not bothering you, but I was wondering if you could share your secret to happiness with me." Martha looked up from her flowers, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Oh, my dear boy," she chuckled. "There's no secret. It's all about perspective." Intrigued, Tom sat down on a nearby bench, eager to hear more. Martha joined him, wiping her hands on her apron as she began to speak. "You see, Tom, life is like this garden of mine. Some days, the sun shines bright, and the flowers bloom beautifully. Other days, storms come and threaten to uproot everything I've worked so hard to grow. But do you know what I've learned?" Tom shook his head, hanging on her every word. "I've learned that both the sunshine and the storms are necessary for growth. Without the rain, the flowers would wither and die. Without the sun, they'd never bloom. Life is the same way. The challenges we face are just opportunities for us to grow stronger and more resilient." Martha's words struck a chord in Tom's heart. He'd always seen his problems as burdens, never as chances to become better. "But how do you stay positive when everything seems to be going wrong?" Tom asked, his voice tinged with frustration. Martha's smile softened as she placed a gentle hand on Tom's shoulder. "My dear, it's all about focusing on what you have, rather than what you lack. Every morning when I wake up, I think of 3 things I'm grateful for. It could be as simple as the warmth of my blanket, the chirping of birds outside my window, or the memory of a loved one's smile." She paused, letting her words sink in. "When you start your day with gratitude, you're already ahead of the game. You're training your mind to look for the good in every situation." Tom nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "But what about when really bad things happen? How do you find happiness then?" Martha's eyes grew distant for a moment, as if recalling a painful memory. "I won't lie to you, Tom. There are times when happiness seems impossible. I've lost loved ones, faced illness, and experienced heartbreak. But even in those darkest moments, I've learned to find small glimmers of light." She continued, her voice growing stronger. "When my husband passed away, I was devastated. But instead of dwelling on my loss, I chose to celebrate the beautiful life we had shared. I focused on the memories that made me smile, the lessons he had taught me, and the love that would always remain in my heart." Tom listened intently, feeling a shift in his own perspective. Martha's words were like a balm to his troubled soul. "You see, happiness isn't about having a perfect life. It's about finding joy in the imperfections. It is about choosing to see the beauty in the everyday moments that we so often take for granted." Martha stood up, gesturing for Tom to follow her. They walked through her garden, stopping to admire a particularly vibrant flower. "Look at this bloom," Martha said, gently touching its petals. "It's not perfect. Some of its petals are a bit wilted, and its stem is slightly bent. But isn't it still beautiful? That's how we should see ourselves in our lives. We may be a little bruised, a little bent, but we're still capable of blooming where we're planted." Tom felt a weight lifting from his shoulders as he absorbed Martha's wisdom. He realized that he had been so focused on his problems that he'd forgotten to appreciate the good things in his life. "So, what can I do to start being happier?" Tom asked, eager to make a change. Martha's face lit up with enthusiasm. "Start small, my dear. Begin each day with gratitude. Find joy in the little things. A delicious meal, a kind word from a friend, or the feeling of the sun on your face. When faced with challenges, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow?" She paused, her eyes twinkling mischievously. "And don't forget to laugh, Tom. Laughter is the best medicine. Even when things seem dire, try to find humor in the situation. It's amazing how a good laugh can change your entire outlook. As they walked back to the bench, Martha shared one last piece of advice. Remember, happiness is a choice. It's not something that happens to us. It's something we create for ourselves. Every day, we have the power to choose how we react to what life throws our way. Tom felt a newfound sense of hope and determination. He realized that he had the power to shape his own happiness, regardless of his circumstances. As he prepared to leave, Tom turned to Martha with gratitude shining in his eyes. Thank you, Martha. You've given me so much to think about. I feel like I can face anything now. Martha's warm laugh filled the air. Oh, my dear boy, you always had that strength within you. Sometimes we just need a little reminder to look for it. Tom left Martha's garden that day with a lighter heart and a brighter perspective. He began to implement her advice, starting each day with gratitude and looking for the silver lining in every situation. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, Tom noticed a remarkable change in his life. He wasn't just happier. He was more resilient, more compassionate, and more at peace with himself and the world around him. He often thought back to that day in Martha's garden, grateful for the wisdom she had shared. Tom realized that true happiness wasn't about having a perfect life, but about finding joy in the journey, no matter how bumpy the road might be. And so, dear friends, let Martha's story be a reminder to us all. Happiness is not a destination. It's a way of traveling. It's about finding beauty in the ordinary, strength in our struggles, and gratitude in every breath we take. As you go about your day, remember to choose happiness. Look for the good in every situation, no matter how small. Be kind to yourself and others. Laugh often and love deeply, for in the end, it's not the years in our life that count, but the life in our years. So, let's make a promise to ourselves. Let's choose to be happy, not because life is always perfect, but because we have the power to find joy in every moment. After all, as Martha would say, life is too short to be anything but happy. And with that, my friends, I leave you with a challenge. For the next week, start each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. Watch how this simple act begins to transform your perspective and your life. Remember, happiness is a choice, and it's one that's always within your reach. Now, go forth and spread that happiness to others. For in making others smile, we often find our own joy multiplied. And who knows, you might just become someone else's Martha, inspiring them to find happiness in every situation.